Okay, we are live. Welcome,
Hey,
everyone. Welcome to Grassroots Chats with Clinton Belcher, our first official chat with Clinton.
sounds so formal.
I know, I know. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And for those of you that are new and may not know much about us, we're Canadian Ecotourism Services, and we've been around for about 24 years in the industry, working with communities across Canada in developing some amazing tourism products and experiences and working on the ground with communities. And my name's Amanda. I'm project manager for CES, and I'll be alongside Clinton today, just helping with some of the
Or tonight,
logistical
Amanda,
stuff.
because
Yeah,
or
or
tonight.
tonight. Yeah. I actually, one great thing about working for CES is I actually work from an office in Sweden. I started in Canada, and through life, I ended up in Sweden with so where I have my family and where I'm based from. So you may see the sun shifting a little with my lighting. That's because it's almost dinner time over here. So yeah, and without further ado, we're here with Clinton. So yeah, Clinton,
Hey,
our fearless leader. So I'll pass
um,
it on to you.
thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to connect. And, one of the ideas of doing this through this time was just to, talk about some of the things and not do it in a formal way or just informally hear what you have to ask or just have some discussions and maybe even build a little community amongst ourselves. There's some great people that are on right now that I know personally that are just I'm inspired by every day. So nice to have you all here. And yeah, I think we're just gonna go off the fly. Amanda's probably got some questions, and it's kind of, if you know me, I'm not very structured. I like to adapt and grow as we go. So
Oh,
uh,
Clinton, we sorry to interrupt. We got Yasmin, Lenny, and Notley are saying hi. So
oh,
yeah.
hey, good to see you.
Yeah,
Now
so thanks for the
those
little
are,
shout outs.
yeah, there are some very powerful women that I'm proud to be associated with. So wonderful. Good morning to you.
Well, I put up a little message
Oh,
there. Let's talk about that elephant in the room.
yeah. So I think, certainly we're in this really odd time and trying to process it. I mean, the pandemic and COVID-19 and all of its family of variants have really hurt our industry. And it's interesting because our perspective, we're certainly there to help and enable communities. And we've seen a whole spectrum. We've seen people, lose their businesses, real sad stuff. And we've seen people that have been impacted by this, whether it's their family, losing life, the most important thing. And then we've seen people that are using this time that are somewhat thriving. So it's all over the board. And I think it kind of speaks to the time we're in too, because with the pandemic, I think you have this noise all around you, aside from, this virus, but you have this noise of the economy is doing great. We're going to have one of the best, recoveries we've ever had. The Bank of Canada is raising interest rates. And on the other side, you're like, my friend just closed his restaurant. People are losing jobs. And it's just a really weird time to navigate. And it's really hard on us. And I think we all try to be cool and we try to just do the best we can because we have to. But it's okay for us to just say, you know what? I'm hitting the wall. This is all not normal. And it's okay to say that. Um, and so I feel that you can always get a positive from all of this change. And throughout my life and through my experiences and through the great people I've met, elders, change is the one thing that's constant. But there's always going to be something positive that comes from it. So we can use this time to, rethink, retool, adapt, grow, so many things. And I know that a lot of the folks that are even on today, they've been busy doing that. And for you, though, for those that have taken a step back and are put in a situation where they can't do much, I just want you to know it's okay. There is no race to the finish line. That's one thing about CES and the way we even work is things will be done when they need to, and this shall pass as well. So, and it will pass. And we're seeing the light. We look to the United States to see what's going on. We look around the world. There is light. So just be strong, my friends. Just be strong.
Well said, Clinton. Thanks. And just another shout out to some more people that joined us. Connie Jameson joined, and Daphne March. So
nice.
and just wanted to remind people too, this session is for you guys too. So if there's any questions that come up, feel free to post them in the comments, and we're happy to address them. So just a little reminder about that. So we're talking about grassroots tourism, Clinton. So how would you describe grassroots tourism?
Yeah. So there are so many, definitions and iterations. And we've been saying grassroots tourism well before I've had gray hair. And I started the pandemic growth. But we've been saying it for, since I started the company when, ecotourism wasn't even a thing. And it's not complicated. It doesn't have to be. There are so many terms that we're learning now, regenerative tourism, sustainable tourism, all these different terms. And it's okay, especially in the Indigenous context, to just say grassroots tourism. And grassroots tourism is as simple as it starts from within. That power starts from within. And all of the, great people that are on right now, I could, name them all. You've mentioned some of them that are on this call, are the ones that are a perfect example of grassroots tourism. It starts with a person. It's not a thing. It's not academic. It starts with the passion. It's planting that seed, letting it germinate, watering it, letting it grow with the nurturing love that it needs, and letting it turn into something. It's never a top-down, this is what you should do, this is how you should do it, and trying to grow tourism in your community. No, it starts with one person's idea. It starts with a cultural entrepreneur. It starts with an artisan. It starts with an elder. It starts with youth. It starts with someone who really, really cares about preserving their culture. And so grassroots tourism to us is you start with preserving your culture, taking care of who you are first, and then tourism will come, sort of organically or by proxy when it's ready. So that's something that we live by here is you got to start with a person. It's people, right? So it's not a checklist. It's people.
Yeah. Tourism doesn't exist without people.
Exactly.
So was there a community that just really inspired you, especially during those beginning years?
Yeah, there's like so many. I think of some of the cool experiences that I've been blessed to have. One going back to my native country, South Africa. I immigrated from South Africa when I was a child, so I went back. And going back to do work there in the northwest province of South Africa was absolutely amazing. Seeing some of the entrepreneurs really trying to do so much with so little, and the smell and the being back home and being just free and in the land and hearing the language and all of those things. And I was just like, wow, this is so important. And I remember back then, this was just as apartheid was ending. And I remember going to this village and meeting Mapato, and she was this just full of life and just like a go-getter. And she was trying to do something with recreating a cultural village, and they were doing it, and they were doing it so well, and they were doing it on their own and on their terms. And at that time, I remember, wow, this is going right to my heart and my soul, and this is like, I got to help people do this. And I actually worked with her for a bit, and with politics and things were hard, but nonetheless, she persevered, and it was really cool. And then another time, I'd have to say that really speaks to me was I was on Easter Island with the Rapa Nui people, and we went to do a project because essentially what was happening is the mainland, and this is the most remote island in the world, I think 3,700 kilometers off the coast of South America, Chile. It's run by Chile. And there's this 24, 26 square kilometer island that's just with Rapa Nui people, and they're there. And what happened is the mainland were developing tourism at a rapid pace and essentially hiring this group that we worked, which was the Karikari, and they were small little co-op grassroots group, and they wanted to start doing homestays, if you will, or cultural stays. And the mainland people were like, well, you have to have this and this regulation, but it was their place. And people were landing in fancy jets, and the mainland was making tons of money, and they would essentially hire these people to do dances, cook, performances. And I just felt, wow, like, they're getting a small part of the economy, which wasn't the big thing. The bigger thing is that were they selling out their culture? So we really, really worked with them, and it was so much fun. There was a lot of team. It was a very emotional time for me. I went there. I ended up going back several times, and I met elders. I spoke with elders. I had no idea what they were saying in Rapa Nui, but they sat me down, and you feel that energy. And I don't know if anyone's ever had that experience, but you just feel that energy of a good person and that warmth around you. And I didn't know why this elder wanted to meet with me, other than I think somebody said I looked like I was going around selling Bibles because I had a Canadian Ecotourism logo and crest and the khakis, and I looked like some foreigner. I mean, everyone on the island knows right away who you are. And they're like, maybe just that Bible guy. No, anyway, so I met with him, and then she just said she wanted to meet with me because she heard what I was doing with this group, and there were 7 people in this group, and they really did a great job. And then they ended up having tourism and doing mainstays and having the economy directly to them, which inspired so many of the things that we've done now too, just that direct contact. So yeah, I think those are the ones. And then in Canada, I would say there are so many people that have inspired me, and you know who you are because you're here today, and their communities and what they try to do and how they go about it. So I always talk about you guys out there. I brag to everyone about you guys, other communities. So you'll hear me always talking about whether it's Mysticity, Six Nations, on and on and on. And it's just wonderful. From East Coast to West Coast, you guys rule.
Yeah, that's one exciting thing, is just having the opportunity just to be inspired from people all over Canada. And yeah, it's just amazing working with all our wonderful clients. So Clinton, we're talking about what has inspired you with regards to grassroots tourism. So now, what would you say grassroots tourism the benefits that it can bring to communities. And if you could just talk about that for a little bit.
Sure. Well, I think certainly the first and foremost, the one thing that it can do for your community is it gives you the opportunity to preserve your culture. And it's sort of a catalyst or a mechanism to do so. And so I think that, the definition of tourism, I think is something that you really have to talk to your community about. And, what is tourism for your community? Because sometimes people think it's capitalistic. People are just coming in, taking our culture, but there's another side to it where you can say, this is an opportunity for the younger generation, or it's an opportunity for cultural entrepreneurs, people that really love their culture and want to share it and keep it alive. So I think that's the first and foremost thing, is to make sure that if you're getting into tourism, go in it with keeping your culture alive. Literally, there are languages lost every day that will never come back. There are traditions that are lost every day. And so do that first. The other part of it, of course, is like we talk about, some of you would know the old Sikh model that we use, which is the social, economical, environmental, and of course, cultural. Those are the 4 things that it can do for you if it's done right. It gives you an opportunity to share your story, tell your story. I think definitely, in this time of reconciliation and empowerment, it's really important that Indigenous tourism be part of that landscape. This is not about tokenism. This is not about, groups or organizations. I'll just tell a quick story. I went to Australia and I was in search. We started off on the south from Sydney, and we worked all the way up the east coast. Amanda, you've been there. And so we were in search of Indigenous tourism products. And, and this was now going back, I guess, about a decade or more. And I was just on this quest to find these, authentic experiences. And Australia positioned itself at that time, no disrespect to Australia, but they positioned themselves as a country that was really taking on and supporting the Indigenous communities. For the love of me, I couldn't find anything, but I did find tokenism. I found, a lot of things that represented cultures I didn't understand, or whether it was sold, whether it was didgeridoos or whatever it was. And I just I just wanted to connect with someone and talk about what their experience is today, like how it is living today. What are some of the political plights they have, learning a little bit more about their food, their culture, their dance, their language. Anyway, it was really hard to find. And so I think what you have now as this opportunity, if you look at it, your own community, you have the control to, that narrative is yours. And what gets put out is from you, and it's real. So I think really, if communities want to be part of Indigenous tourism right across the country, it has to start within your own community and collectively, nationally, and then internationally. So,
yeah, do it your way.
Do it your way. You have to. That's authenticity.
For sure. And there's so many, just when you're sharing that story, Clinton, it reminded me of a story you shared with us just on another one of your travels to Costa Rica and looking for kind of an authentic grassroots experience too. So it's kind of exciting for tourism that we live in a time where there are these great tools in the online world. Just the fact that we're, on Facebook Live right now, and there's 22 people tuned in right now from across Canada, or maybe even beyond. And yeah, so it's super exciting time for growing tourism too, just because of it is easy to share your voice and to share your story.
Right.
Do you?
I think technology has, as much as sometimes we look at it and it's a pain, and again, but it's this change that brings on something positive. I think of the technology available to us now to tell our story, and I think it's incredible. Never has there been such a time to share stories, but also to build businesses. And I have got in trouble. People have known me to get in trouble, but I do speak my mind. I try not to be involved in politics. And I say, if you can do something, and the story Amanda's talking about in Costa Rica was, again, I wanted to hire a local cultural entrepreneur. I did not want to go through the American Express tourist stand. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm really about supporting communities and locals. And so I went on to, I think it was TripAdvisor, and I looked for different guided experiences, and I came across this person, and it was great. I went out and had a great experience with my family, had some good food. We became friends, as I think most Indigenous communities, once you're there, it's just, there's a connection and it can't be explained. But we had a great experience, and I booked it here, from Toronto. And people are like, wow, how'd you do that? Well, through the power of technology, they had 5,000 reviews. That couldn't be wrong. They're self-regulating. And, for me, Indigenous people and their communities, yes, there's certainly standards, there's safety standards, all these things, which they adhere to. But I was just so happy to see this cultural entrepreneur saying, you know what, I'm going to do direct to market, and I'm going to get you to come meet my family. And that was like, wow, could not have done that without technology. And Amanda, yes, I am old enough to remember the Lonely Planet guides that I had to buy before I went to Easter Island to figure it out.
I was all about the Lonely Planet books too when I first traveled. Yeah.
So, but there's just little reminders. And so, I even say too, on a helpful note, I would say you have to make sure your protocols and, your culture and everything is protected. If you can use third-party platforms, or if you can use tools that are accepted by the market, use them. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Use them, utilize them, but just make sure you're ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then being ready for tourism. So once you get out there, that's kind of a big...
Yeah. It's, it's self-regulating in a way. I think it was the thing that you have to always picture is, how do you want to be treated as a human being? How are you going to do that to make sure that you're treating them as your own family? Like simple guiding principles. Yes, there's technical things, and absolutely we do need some guidelines and standards for sure. But you as an entrepreneur, when you're starting, don't be overwhelmed. I need to have this, I need to have that. Just start with looking inside and saying, how would I like to be treated? How would I take care of my own family? Funny story. I was doing some water safety training, and we were up in Quebec. I think it was Mysticity. And there was a gentleman by the name of Sherman, late Sherman. He's since passed, just a wonderful, wonderful human being. And we were learning how to, get back in a capsized canoe. And Sherman looked at me and said, I don't know how to do that. And I said, oh, well, that's what we're here for. We're learning. He goes, no, Crees never, ever, ever tip a canoe. So, anyway. But so, even the way he would teach and, whether we went out and we did something on the land, I know that he always had the best interest of my safety and all of those things, but we still needed those things to make our clients and our customers feel safe. but it starts with you. It starts with, what would I do? What would I like to experience? What would I like to feel? And when you put yourselves in those shoes, you can understand. And even with the pandemic now, people are like, how do we get people back? And how do you get them feeling safe? And, how do we do that? And honestly, I think Indigenous communities have the upper hand if you're in tourism already. A lot of the Indigenous communities, I know a lot of my friends have, from different communities, have already been vaccinated. I mean, if everyone in your community has been, or people that are working in your business are vaccinated, start telling the story, saying, you know what, we're ready when you're ready. And having that, so people are feeling safe that they're going into an environment. I mean, of course, we don't want tourists coming into your communities when they're not safe, but you do certainly have that opportunity to let people know you're getting ready, and we're ready when you're ready, kind of thing, the messaging. I probably went off on a tangent there, Amanda.
Yeah, well, we actually got a question, Clinton, from, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right, but Notli Roxanne. She's asking.
The first name, yes.
Yes, she's asking, do you have an example of a small town, less than 1,000 people, that changed from one industry resource-based town and diversified into a tourism cultural destination and doing a good job with it? Perhaps it's someone we can do a best practices mission with, even virtually, since this is our reality for foreseen future.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I can tell you that, Roxanne, I can tell you that there was a couple that come to mind. And one of them was one of our first clients in the back in the day. It was Tumbler Ridge, BC. And what happened is they had closed, it was resource extraction, they closed the mine. And so a group got together led by this awesome dude, Ray Prue. And he said, you know what? We're going to try to get tourism going, ecotourism. We actually met him because he Googled ecotourism. We were the only ones that came up because no one really knew what it was. So anyway, we went out and I started the co-op, and they started doing these cooperative tours, and they really got things going. And then the community, they marketed it as a retirement community. And then that retirement community, of course, then had all these services. And then it started growing with, all the things we think of in tourism, whether it's restaurants or guided services, etc. And then it turned into sort of a destination to escape and get away from all the noise. So that's one. I know that.
Clinton, sorry to interrupt. We just had Tracy Albertini. She says, hi, Clinton, Tracy McBride. I worked with you when I was in Grand Cache and Winniwak Nation, and where they've done a project with the culture camps. And Roxanne commented again, her sister just moved there. Wow. Small world.
And there's a great connection there too. And I remember this similar thing happened out in close to Grand Cache, where we did the dinosaur tracks that were found in the old mine, and it was off limits. But again, resource extraction town, looking at different things and how could be packaged and the great outdoors. So they pivoted and looked at that. I think right now, Roxanne, is the perfect time. We've all just discovered our own backyards for the first time. We would get, here in Toronto, you go to Pearson and then you'd go somewhere, take you the air travel, of course, and you'd go somewhere else because you felt like you needed to. And it's finally happened through the pandemic. One of the positives where people are like, I guess we could just drive 3 hours and see what that's all about. And people have had amazing discoveries. So I really think, that's a wonderful opportunity to talk about space and air and nature and really, really build on those things. But I would love for some of our people here to connect. So you said hi. So connect, and there's the best practices. And Roxanne, I'll definitely look up some. But those are just a few stories to share. But I think you should really think about how can we attract not only our domestic to this wonderful space of nature and this attachment of it. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and I think the whole aspect of just slowing things down, going out, being in nature in quiet spaces, meeting new and interesting people in your backyard is just like, sky's the limit for the opportunities.
Not hearing about case counts and the world is ending and this and that, and just being out in nature, smelling, all your senses come to life. And then add to that, you know, a community that has cultural entrepreneurs that wish to be engaged. It's perfect time.
Yeah. I can imagine myself in that place right now. Awesome. Thanks. And yeah, feel free, keep asking questions, everyone. We'd love to hear more from you. But for now, we'll just continue to roll with Clinton sharing some stories, and it's all about the grassroots chats. So, Clinton, we talked a lot about some of the benefits. Now, sometimes a common challenge is for those that are more in the leadership roles in communities, just how to get the community engaged and excited about grassroots tourism.
Yeah, I think, you know, a huge part of it is engaging your community, using your way, and engaging your community and educating them on what tourism is and why you want to do it. And I'll give you an example. Like when we did just over here on Georgian Island, I know they were looking at getting into tourism. And so we did a preservation project, and it was youth. And I think they're reviving it now. Amanda, you're working on it again. And it was youth getting to go out and learn how to use the video. And we did this up in Nunavut as well, right? In Chesterfield Inlet.
Yeah, the digital storytelling projects.
Storytelling. And got community members involved in a way of, this isn't capitalist, this isn't just to make money, but this was really about preserving our culture. So these kids essentially learned how to use video cameras and technology, and went out and took shots of things, and got to interview some of their grandparents, and got to visit, you know, with their aunties and uncles. And anyway, so they got stories, and some of the stories, of course, were really, really cool. But they also got to learn. And then, you know, the community starts to talk, and there's this buzz about what's this all about? That's a really cool project. And then you talk about, well, we want to share our stories. And then the cultural entrepreneur comes on, and it grows and it grows, and that seed's planted, right? So I think you have to engage your community in preservation first, and let them understand what tourism is, and then say, you know, what are your principles, and what's your purpose for getting into tourism? And for me, when I think of tourism, and if I were to go back to my own country, I think one of them was reconciliation, no different than here in Canada, is to have that ability to finally share, you know, story, good, bad, you know, but it's our story. So I think if you have those opportunities to let your community know, here's the reasons and the purpose and why we're doing this. And we want to get our youth involved, and we want, you know, whether it's social, economical, or environmental or cultural, let them understand that. And then go to the place of, okay, what can we do to get organized tourism? Start off with a tourism office or a tourism organization that supports people. But the challenge, if you just come in and say, you know, we've got money and we're doing tourism, wow, you're going to work backwards. You know, it's going to be it's an uphill battle. But if you come in and you say to your community, what are some of the things you want to share? How can we do this? You know, Easter Island. Easter Island was a dance group. a dance group that they wanted to dance. They loved keeping that alive. Well, then, you're a dance group and now you're performing, and then inevitably there might be an audience or two, or sharing amongst even just the communities themselves. So there are challenges when you just come with a top-down mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You may get a directive from your leadership. We need tourism. We got funding. That's going to be a challenge. Engage right from the beginning, and don't be scared to engage. When we do engagement, it's okay to hear everything. It's okay to hear the naysayers. It's okay. It's important. That's what you will find common ground, and it might start off with a small project and grow from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Clinton. We got another question that came in from Eddie Vi. He says, "Hi, Clint. Any suggestions how to fill costs of accessing more remote destinations? I'm from Thompson, Manitoba, and flights here are outrageous." So this is quite common for a lot of communities we work with.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the bigger, I guess the bigger partnerships are really important too, and I think of a number of ways. One is working together with people in your region to have corridors or connectivity, so that just as our animals, just as the caribou have a corridor that they follow, no different. Years ago we had a project in the east, and it was called Footsteps and Paddle Strokes, and it was a thematic route and we met with all the different communities, what the communities could contribute, and let's work together. And I think that model of working together, look, Indigenous people are communal. At the end of the day, if you kill a moose, or if you're going to share it with who needs it. So we should do the same in tourism. So look at thematic routes as one of them. Partnerships are important. And, on a larger partnership, if you wanted to get with the local airlines and say, this is something that we can look at doing or adding on or to a package for people that are already going there. And then if you are just going to do a direct A to B and you're going to try to lure people in, well, you have to have a compelling story. And I started telling you about Easter Island. I mean, the cost to get to Easter Island was not cheap. And to get all the way there and to be on 24 kilometers, it's the most remote island in the world, landmass. So that in itself can be an attraction. So how are you marketing yourself? And, your product has got to be 100%. You have to have something that makes everyone think it's a secret. And if they get to go, it's a privilege. And I think if you package it that well and you look at your product really, really hard and try to brand it and take it to the next level, and you look at partnerships, that's a possibility. If you just look at it and go, you know what, no one can really get here, it's too expensive, no one wants to come, I think that's the glass is half empty. You got to start focusing on how you can market it. And let me tell you, if there's one great experience, you could blow up in one day, Vimeo. I think this is a perfect time to start using video, letting people tell their story, taking your product, giving people a sense of it. I know they're doing good things here in Ontario. Lenny's on here. She's doing great things with AR, VR, using technology, getting people to see. Amanda, I know you're out your way. I remember you get to yell. What was that? You get to scream.
Oh, in Iceland. Yeah.
Yeah. You get to scream virtually. You can get on your laptop and you scream for the pandemic because you've had enough. And then there's a big speaker in this wonderful, cavernous area, and someone can hear you scream maybe, or no one can hear you scream. But it promoted the area. So think about positioning, marketing, partnerships, all those good things. But please, offline, I'd be more than happy to help you with a little bit of a strategy with that.
Yeah, that's please, anyone that's tuned in, feel free to reach out to Clinton and our team for any questions. We're always doors always open for that. I know we're kind of wrapping things up, but we have a few more questions from our listeners. So Tracy has just posted some comments. It was, I think, relating back to the engaging communities that she found value-based strategies work. So she shared that comment. And then she also asked, do you have any suggestions on community entrepreneur training to ensure long-term success for new experiences?
Yeah, I think, there with, I want to be careful to say that I think it's almost an oxymoron or a contradiction, but entrepreneurs, I find, are entrepreneurs. They find a way. Most entrepreneurs find a way and have never been taught because they just have this sort of crazy passion for doing something and figuring out a way to do it. And so if you are going to do something, and I think it's like, just brand it properly, talk about, let's start a small scale tourism business, or let's start, cultural tours, or just be very specific, and then get people, whether it's artisans, involved in saying, let's help you set up that. There are some wonderful things that are going on across the country. I know in Alberta, we've worked with Indigenous Tourism Alberta, and here Indigenous Tourism Ontario, in getting these products up and running. So depending on where you are, you should start to see some more Indigenous products that can help for starting these ventures. But for now, what I would say is start, get the interest, find out who these people are. So let's say you have 3 artisans, or you have someone who's into sports, or you have youth that wants to go into guiding. Find out who they are collectively. From there, frame the training. So design the training for the people. Don't take the people and throw them into a boilerplate, generic sort of situation, because you might have attrition. And then I would say that, for me, I think you can essentially get people, 2 to 3 weeks. You can get people to frame a small little business using certain steps and getting them to understanding the things they need to know. And I would say always focusing on the things they need to know. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that a small business should understand all of accounting principles. I mean, I hire an accountant because, that's just overwhelming. I want to be out in the land doing what I love. So what are the things they need to know? What are the basics you need to know to run a business? And you'll be very surprised. It's not complicated. The passion drives it all, and a few tools to help them get there and to be sustainable and to be profitable. So reach out, and I can share some of those resources to you. So. And some ideas. First thing, find out who your people are. What does your group comprised of? And then build it around that.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice, Clinton. We had a few more comments from people, but we're going to start to wrap up things. So I'll just do little shout outs to Nancy. Thank you just for sharing a comment, just mentioning just the hard to find sometimes information about tourism out there, and when there's a lack of promotion and clear information out there. So sometimes it's difficult when you want to find these community-based experiences. We had Lucy Roy join us saying thanks. Daphne said create. Just a few more. Yeah, a few more just comments and feedback from Tracy, just thanking for your advice. So yeah, I think I'll bring it to you, Clinton, if you wanted to share.
Well, sure. I just want to say that I think that I would, I think as we come back to, some normalcy, whether that's, after this wave or, there's a little bit more time after that, don't push forward too much. Remember, in our team, with our team here, I'm telling our team, listen, let's do what we can, but our mental health and our well-being, we need to make sure those things are okay first. So just take your time. This shall pass. It will. Do it right. Don't rush. Please try not to rush with deadlines. Try to get flexibility on those deadlines, whether it's funding or whatever. Just do it right. If that means it's slower, so be it. You'll be happier in the end. So that's really, really important for me to say. The other thing is that I think that I would be more than happy because of what we're all going through. If anyone wants to reach out, please do. I can, take the time. It's the least I can do. Take the time to have chats with you. And I'm hoping we can do it together as a group again. With that, I would love to interview and have some of our guests that are on here today or other great examples and best practices. I think, what Roxanne said, I mean, it'd be great to hear from other communities that are doing it and hear their story. And I would love if everyone agrees with that, we can get that going and get this communal approach to developing Indigenous tourism. The other thing is there is a lot of resources out there, but don't forget, it starts with your community. It starts with you. It starts with your community. There's your region. There's your provincial and territorial counterparts, and of course nationally. So everyone's got to work together and internationally. It's time Indigenous tourism is put, on the center stage because it's special, and you can't teach it. You got to own it and you got to know it.
Awesome. Great, Clinton. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. We're just having still comments rolling in. Roxanne's thanking us for the experience. And we had another question from Lucy on bilingual brochures and posts. But I think we're running out of time, unfortunately. So this is just the first of many.
Give Lucy one.
Okay. Okay, we'll go over time today. It's our first one. So Lucy was just wanting to know your thoughts on bilingual brochures and posts, or should things only be in English?
I think that things should be put in the language that who you're trying to reach. And if you have someone that can do it in 2 or 3 languages, even your own language, so be it. Who is your target audience? Always think about who you're targeting and, who's reading it, really. And if that happens to be both or trilingual. I know when we were working up with the Cree and USG, I mean, many times we would see things in Cree, French, and in English. And I thought that was awesome because that's their market. That's who they're talking to. So don't do things to be politically correct. Do things that serve your market.
Yeah. Well said.
Awesome. With politics. Oh my God. Anyway.
Anyway, we kind of touched a lot. I left the how do you get started question up there for a while because we were addressing a lot of aspects about it. Yeah. But should we play a little video just to kind of...
Sure. Before you do that, I just want to say, how do you get started? honestly always starts with one person. It
Mm,
always starts with that cultural entrepreneur or that leader or that innovator. It always starts with that. So remember, it's a person, it's not a process.
mm,
So get and support that person. Don't feel, even if it means that they'll have a business, whatever, support them and help
mm,
them. And then there'll be more products and more experiences. Um,
mm,
and I just want to say that because earlier on we said, technology, how that's helped, having a voice, um, having a platform for that, but more
mm,
importantly, having this passion to preserve your culture. If you start
mm,
with that intention, all things will be good. If you start, even in our own company here, this, Amanda, if you start and
mm,
you just look at the money, you will never be happy. You have to
mm,
look, what is the purpose? Um,
mhm,
so this video that Amanda is going to show you, I thought it was nice because it's my people, so I can share that with you. Just so you know, like my background, my parents are from South Africa, of course, and my grandparents, my great grandfather was a freedom fighter, fought for the rights of coloreds. Uh, he was in Swaziland, which is a little country just up from South Africa. So he's a great entrepreneur. Back in the day, he started off selling furs and working with the Swazis and also the Zulus. They all respected him. He had a small little store. Just to, really, really inspires me for what he believed in, helping people and also making sure that humanity was put forth first, and then having an opportunity to live and provide for your family. Um,
mm,
so this little ditty that you're going to see here goes back, and it's just because it started off with, preserving and loving your culture. It was also a time as we went through the pandemic, we saw a lot of Black Lives Matter, and you know, I think we've seen, Indigenous communities, Black communities everywhere around the world really stand up and say we have a place, and we're seeing the inequalities. So this is where this sort of started. This video that Amanda is going to show you, and it was a way of, if you go back in Black culture, it was a way of, from slavery days when you were really oppressed and you're put down. The one thing that anyone can take from you was your voice and the ability to dance, because that's the happiness in you. No one can ever take that from you. So this song was inspired by that. It was by a DJ or a music producer out of Johannesburg, South Africa, just a little bit away from where I was born in Durban. And a dance group in Angola, heard this music and understood the spirituality behind the music of, walk with me through this pandemic and break free with all of the social justice that's going on. And it went like this. Amanda, let's see it. I'll show you and I'll talk you through it. And I'd like to finish off on this. If you feel like getting up and dancing, go right ahead. So this was the dance group, and kind of having lunch, and they heard this song and it made them dance, and they got together. And part of the dance, the Afro dance, the Spanish, Portuguese, it's got a little bit of everything, all hand. And then it just starts moving, and they started doing it, and they all jump in, and you get the idea. Now, if you're in Texas, you'd say it's line dancing. In South Africa, you'd say this is a very important part, which is wonderful how cultures all merge together. So there's always a 90-degree turn. And so they're having a good lunch, and they're just in the village in Angola, and that's it. And then, now, as some of you probably know, it's gone all over the world and it's viral. And now here's Air Transat from Canada, and corporations are doing it. And so I know Air Canada's up for doing this. Large businesses all over the world are doing their own little dance and song in solidarity. But what it did is it put Angola, and I put South Africa, and I put these musicians and these artisans. And you know what? People now will go learn about where are these guys from? What's their story? And maybe that will be a destination one day. Who knows? But this is the power that we have in this day and age. So telling your story is so important. And their purpose wasn't to make money, as you can see. Their purpose was to say, let's stand together. Let's walk beside each other. So my mom translated some of the Zulu for me, which is a little bit of Zulu in there. And it's just beautiful. Jerusalem. So you can, if you're religious, you can. It's basically going home to Jerusalem. But there's other aspects to it that are really important that you can never ever keep. You can never ever keep a good person down or their culture down, and this is what it did. And my mom always tells me, those who think the dancer is mad, hear not the music. So I will always, always hear the music. And I hope you do too. So dance, it was good to see you guys. Awesome. I hope we can do this again. And last shout out to all of you. Each one of you that are on here are amazing, amazing, amazing ambassadors for your community. Leaders, not ambassadors, leaders. And bless you all. Peace.